Do you think that the Timberwolves should trade Butler?
Jimmy Butler's got to go. It's time. He got to go. It's time.
All right, here we go.
Listen. Understand.
Oh, my God.
You do not want to fall into the risk. Hear me on this, because I'm trying to educate you, Dominic, okay?
I'm listening.
All right?
I'm listening.
Of him walking for free. He's going to go anyways. And you fall into a scenario also where it's Karl-Anthony Towns or Jimmy Butler. Carl's obviously younger. You couldn't get him traded out for Aiden in the #1 pick, which was attempted, which was his value. You got a #1 pick that worked out. And the last team that traded him, who? The Chicago Bulls. That turned into what? Lauri Markkanen, the future. Guy balled out this season, one of the gems of the draft. So if you tell me that Butler should still be on the team, knowing that he could walk, I don't want to hear too much out of you.
It's at least, it seems like he didn't even listen to what you said. Like, the reason why he is upset is because the young players have a nonchalant attitude. You know who I want to keep? The guy who does not have a nonchalant attitude. You know who I would consider moving? The guys who do have a nonchalant attitude. He doesn't want to leave because he hates Minnesota. He doesn't want to leave because he wants to go home. He doesn't want to leave. He wants to leave because you can't change those things. Minnesota is Minnesota. And wherever he wants to play is wherever he wants to play. Those are things that you can't change. Cleveland can't do anything about being Cleveland. OKC can't do anything about being OKC. And LA has an advantage because they're LA. But those are things that you can change. You know what you can change? You can change the guys that are on the roster that do not seem to have the same level of commitment. You can bring in guys who do have the commitment.
Whoa.
And if you look at the way that they played throughout last season, you saw that it wasn't as if they had Karl-Anthony Towns in the center, what they were doing offensively. Watching them late in playoff games, I was confused at why Towns wasn't getting the ball with Butler out.
Because he wouldn't post up.
Okay,
he wouldn't get on the block and post up. That's why.
That's fine. So why don't you get rid of the guy who doesn't want to post up? If these reports are true.
Did you just say get rid of the #1 pick in the draft, Karl-Anthony Towns?
If you're going to pick one to get rid of, you get rid of the one
who paid Wiggins, because he's in this too.
Oh, yeah.
You just paid Wiggins a lot of money. Karl-Anthony Towns was the #1 pick. The guy, look, maybe he's not committed. Maybe he jokes too much. Maybe he's soft. I'm not sure what the label or the beef with Jimmy Butler is. One of the tougher guys that I played against in the league. And by the way, I did play in Minnesota since you feel like I played everywhere.
The show just started. We've already got five times that this man has said, I played with him when I guarded him.
Somebody's got to go. And you're always going to go younger. You're always going to go younger. And guess what? You're not replacing Karl-Anthony Towns.
That's a mistake.
Well, hold on.
I remember on the first day we were here together, you said something that was outrageous. You called Magic Johnson a puppet, and you implied that he didn't really know what he was doing in the front office. I think that's because you have no idea how to run a front office, because you're going with, like, we're always going to take the guy that's younger. No, you take the guy that is hungrier. You take the guy who is more professional. You take the guy who's going to be the leader on your roster. That is so much more valuable than getting a young guy. And I don't know if these things about Karl-Anthony Towns are true or not. So whoever's in the organization needs to assess who's right or wrong. But if you're going to take a side, assuming these are true, I don't care how big you are. I don't care how young you are. If you do not have the commitment to get on the block, as you were saying, in big situations, you don't have the commitment to take this stuff seriously, then you got to go. And he doesn't want to leave because he hates Minnesota. He wants to leave because he's disappointed in how hard the guys are playing, how seriously they're taking it.
You know what that sounds?
That's the guy that I want to keep.
That sounds good, but much like a GM, Karl-Anthony Towns ain't moving nowhere. He ain't gonna be on the block. Jimmy Butler is up next year, so maybe you're looking at this thing wrong. And let's put this on the record. I love Magic like no other.
Oh, now you're backing down. You don't love nobody you call the puppet. So let's get one thing straight.
I gotta hear what he's got to say though about the puppet comment.
I grew up to Magic. I love Magic Johnson. Let's put it out here. Magic was a bad coach, and he wasn't great talking on TV. As the businessman, he's the man. As the player, he's on my wall at home. But Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Byron Scott, we couldn't put a number of people in that position, and guess what? LeBron James still comes to LA. So it didn't change nothing. And if anything, the ball was dropped, and I'm not letting this go, on Paul George. But in regards to Jimmy Butler, he's got to go. It's time. The Bulls made the same choice. You always go younger. Jimmy Butler also was injured last season. Older players do not play as long, and it's not that Jimmy's not a baller.
Well, I just want to clarify something, because it goes to what you were saying, Dominique. Are you saying that they should keep the younger, nonchalant player over the hungry one? I just want you to clarify that one.
That's what he's saying. And he's also saying Magic Johnson's a puppet.
In these situations, you always go with youth. So obviously, Jimmy Butler has the experience, but that's a card, that's a piece that you're not going to get much back for. You're not going to move. Obviously, they tried to make a play for the #1 pick, and it did not work out. And if you didn't know, also in Minnesota, you're not signing LeBron James out of free agency.
Right.
You're not signing Paul George. You're not getting these guys. So you have to trade them. So while Jimmy Butler has value, you always have to go younger, even though logically that wouldn't make sense. Jimmy is clearly the better player. He's got more experience. I get that. But Karl-Anthony Towns ain't moving because you don't just listen. You don't just move Karl-Anthony Towns. You move Wiggins too, who ain't going nowhere. We're talking about a complete culture rebuild.
I'm listening to all your words, and you just argued that logically it makes sense to keep Jimmy Butler. However, you're going to throw logic to the wind and get rid of a guy because he's older. That doesn't make any sense.
So much different than football GMs and how you guys work and y'all sign and move. I have a deeper understanding of how NBA moves are made in free agency, and that's not a contract that you just can move like that. It's not as easy as Karl-Anthony Towns, I'll just plug in and get somebody else for that. You got to have a team willing to step up. And guess what? More urgency is there. You can hold on to Karl-Anthony Towns and make that move 2 and 3 years down the line. Jimmy Butler is gonna. Hold on. Are you not understanding? He's gonna walk next year.
He hasn't said he's gonna walk. He said he's disappointed in the nonchalant attitude. If you can fix walking, that, brother. You can fix Jimmy Butler.
It's missed the reports. Like he's walking.
The crux of all of your negotiation strategies is just panic. Hair's on fire. Oh, he said something bad. Let's trade him.
If you hear what I said you wait until the trade deadline. Unlike Kawhi, because you hold on to him and you get the value and you get him and you sell his jerseys and you still go into the season with promise. And when time comes up, you move him much like the Bulls did.